Hello, everyone. This is week number 7 of my 52-week challenge to do a weekly LinkedIn live stream. I'm here with Arnold Morales. I was on your live. I was on your podcast before, and I'm glad to have you as a guest. How are you doing today, Arnold?
Great, Steven. Thanks for having me. I love always working with you and June and everyone from the LinkedIn live groups. It's always a blast.
Yeah, especially I love your content as well. We have a lot in common. Both of us are engineers. Both of us are career coaches. Both of us work at defense companies, and both of us have a passion with helping college students, get ready for the workplace here. So Arnold, I'll let you spend a couple minutes, introduce yourself. What are you working on? What do you do?
Yeah, definitely. So in the day, I'm a systems engineer at Boeing, different airplanes working on that. And then at nights or in the afternoons, I'm the founder and president of Non-Traditional College Success, which is an organization that helps students kind of bridge that gap between getting their dream job and succeeding in college with being non-traditional. So that's kind of what I do. And then I'm a dad of a 1.5-year-old and a husband. So that's Arnold in a nutshell.
Man, I don't know how you do it. I'm single,
Hi,
not
June.
married, and I only have to take care of myself. So I don't know how you do it with a full-time job and you're coaching on the side as well.
Yeah,
Just
I don't know
highlighting
how
some
you do
comments here. Appreciate all the hellos here, and thank you everyone for your support. I like to have all my live streams. I like to start with an icebreaker. I call it 2 truths and a lie. So I'm going to share my 2 truths and a lie, and then have you guess, have the audience guess.
Perfect.
And then I'll give you an opportunity for yourself to share as well. Is that good for you,
Yeah.
with you, Arnold?
Sounds good.
Okay. So number 1, I was the president of an engineering club when I was in college. Number 2, I had a 4.0 GPA in my senior year of college. And number 3, I got all of my positions at Lockheed without applying to them. So I'll put it back on the screen here. So,
You're so specific on them that it makes it hard.
well,
I
this
was
is
a
my
president.
7th week of doing it, so I got
Yeah.
pretty good at making up these truths or lies here.
I don't think you had a 4.0 GPA your senior year in college.
So you think number 2 is the lie here?
Yes.
Okay, everyone in the comments, guess which one of these is my lie. So Arnold thinks there's number 2. I didn't have a 4.0 GPA my senior year in college. I did study engineering, so Arnold knows how hard engineering is. So we got a couple threes here. So people think the lie is I got my jobs at Lockheed through applying. Couple threes. Let me put this back on the screen here. Spend another 10 to 20 seconds for everyone to guess which one is the lie here.
Yeah, I could see, like, I do know senior year is probably one of the easiest years in engineering school, so I could see that one. But then the Lockheed one, that's I don't know. You made it hard.
All right, so we got a bunch of 2s, got a bunch of 3s. Arnold, I think your guess was number 2.
Yep.
So the lie is number 1.
Oh man, yeah, that was my last pick.
So number 1, I did not do anything in college. I didn't network. I didn't join any clubs. I didn't have any leadership positions. Do I regret it? Yes, but I'm glad I did it after I started working. I started understanding the need to be involved in organizations, build up those leadership skills. So that's my advice. That's one thing that college didn't teach you about the workplace. You got to build up those leadership skills early on. Let me go back to the 2 truths here. So number 2, I did have a 4.0 my senior year in college. And what's more amazing on top of that was I was working a part-time internship at the same time. So the only time throughout college where I had a 4.0 was when I was working 20 hours a week in an internship and taking a full course load of classes. So I learned a lot about time management and setting priorities there. And then number 3, partial truth, other than the very first job when it got me in the door at Lockheed, all the other 4 jobs I've had at Lockheed was all through word of mouth, me reaching out to people, or through referrals. So all of those jobs I got without applying there.
What about your first one at Lockheed? Was that through applying?
That one was I applied. So
so
not
that
100%
was a
true.
lie too.
it's partially true there. So
Because I thought about it, I was like, no, I'm like, he was in the leadership program. He had to apply to that one. You can't just go into it. But okay, that makes sense.
that was well, that was into the program. I don't really call it a position there. So Arnold, yeah, okay, Arnold, okay, you're getting me on technicality here. So Arnold, are you ready for your two truths and a lie?
Yeah, definitely. So I was struggling with StreamYard and trying to figure out, like, because I saw you mentioning people, and I'm like, where are these people? So now I noticed I had private chat. So hey June, hey Maria, thanks for calling in. Let's see, my two truths and a lie. The first one, I used to race in motocross. I
Okay.
I swam with dolphins, and the third one, I fell off a horse. Hey Carl.
All right, let me put this on the screen here. So these are Arnold's two truths and a lie. You used to race in motocross, you swam with dolphins, and you fell off a horse. Um, these are these are so random here.
Yeah. I was gonna add I've been arrested, but I didn't want to say that was a true or a lie on LinkedIn Live. So
Yeah, no, you might lose your clearance here.
yeah.
Don't want to get you in trouble here, Arnold. Oh man! All right, so people in the comments, guess which one is the lie here with Arnold? Oh man, this is a tough one. We got a couple threes on the screen, so they think Arnold has not fallen off a horse. A couple ones where people doesn't think Arnold did motocross. So we got a bunch of threes and ones. Let me put this back on the screen here. Oh man, okay. I do believe number two is true. Okay, I'm going to say I think number one is the lie because I want to hear your story about how you fell off a horse. So Arnold, which one out of these is your lie?
So I'm sneaky about this. Number two is my lie. No one got it. Everyone got it wrong. Number two is definitely my lie. I've never swum with dolphins before. Dolphins, and I've been at beaches I could swim with dolphins, but I just never done it. So I guess I'll share the two stories. So I used to race in motocross. I used to race ATVs, and we used to do trail ridings every weekend. And I used to do like the actual motocross, a thing in Honduras in Central America when I was 15, 16. And pretty much I only did two races because my mom went to my second one. And after seeing what it was, she's like, no, my 15-year-old kid is not doing it. It's too wild. And she's like, nope, definitely you're not doing this anymore. So she kind of broke my heart there, but hey, it is what it is. And I fell off a horse. So that story, that's a really dumb story. My uncle, he's one of those farm people in Honduras that are just too crazy. Like, oh, nephew, why don't you get on this horse? The horse doesn't have a saddle. The horse doesn't have anything. I'm like, just get on it. He's like, you'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
Right?
Yeah, just hold on to like the hair or like just hold on to the horse. They did have the, I forgot what it's called, like the thing that you pull.
The muzzle?
Yeah, the muzzle thing. They had that, but it didn't have a saddle. So I'm riding this horse and I get on, and this horse is crazy. It's like a crazy, and it's not even like a big horse. It's like this little almost pony type thing. But this thing is nuts. And it was just going and going faster. And I was so terrified. And it was going to a cliff. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to die. It's like it's going to a cliff. And right before the cliff, I jumped off it. I just got so scared that I kind of like jumped and fell off the horse and I rolled, and the horse stopped like 3 feet in front of me. Like the horse just once I was off, the horse just stopped running, and he was like, and the cliff was like right in front of us. So that's my story how I fell off a horse.
Oh man, I wanted to hear that story. That's why it's like I think number three is true. So I think all the fun stuff, all the dangerous stuff takes place in Honduras.
Yeah, definitely. There is several trails that we used to do on the weekends that I just know that it wouldn't be legal here just because it was so unsafe, the trails, which made it fun at that time when you're 15 and don't really.
Yeah, when you're young.
When your brain is squishy, that's what my wife calls it.
Yeah. So thank you everyone for participating in the two truths and a lie. Unfortunately, I think everyone got them wrong for myself and for Arnold. So better luck next week. So these were really, really good. So Arnold, let's talk about our topic here. What caused him to teach you about the workplace? There's a bunch of different things. So let's just start with, what's the number one thing in your opinion that college didn't teach you?
I think the number one thing, that's hard because there's like two or three that I can't like differentiate them. But one of them out of the top ones is they didn't teach me for real world work. Like they taught me like a lot of basics and a lot of theories and books, but they didn't actually teach me how to put that in practice and actually do something with the knowledge that I was learning.
Yeah, I agree with that. I tell a lot of people that it doesn't even matter what degree you're in, right? If it's engineering, business, whatever, you only use about like 10% of what you learn in school and apply that to your job because you have to know the basics and then you learn the theory or you learn the things like that. But every job is so specialized, and especially for both of us, we work in defense. There's no other company that does it. So what you do is so specific that you're forced to learn it on the job. I would even say in the defense world that we work in, it's probably like you only use 5 to 10, like not even 10%. You probably used only 5% of what you learned there. So I agree with you that one there. It's just learning the application of it, and you can't really get to do that. I think, my opinion, I think the number one thing is the soft skills. You can learn as much as you can, and this is very broad. Soft skills is very broad. You can learn as much as you can. You can get a 4.0 GPA, but if you don't know how to talk to people, if you don't know how to network, you don't know how to give a presentation, you just don't know how to get people to work with you. I mean, you're just stuck, right? You can't accomplish anything at work. So I think these two are the biggest things here, and we can build on top of each one here.
Yeah, definitely.
Comments here.
Out of the three that I have, Steven, that is one of the three that I have is working with others. They don't really teach you how to work well with others. I call it how to play with the other kids in the sandbox. That's what I call it. They don't teach us how to play with the other kids in the sandbox.
Yeah, and especially when you're working, or I guess when you're school, everyone's your age, everyone has the same background, everyone's learning the same thing. But in the workplace, you got people from all backgrounds. You got people with 20, with 30 years of experience, with decades of experience. They have their old ways of doing things. You have your way of doing things, and the company has their way of doing things. So it's a lot of, you just have to learn how to adapt. You have to learn how to, I don't want to say fit in because that's not the right way to say it, but you have to learn how to kind of adjust yourself slightly, like your learning style, your communication style, how you like, even how to write emails. I think that's a big part of the workplace that we don't learn in school. And then you're stuck. You're sending emails, and everyone's like, "This is very unprofessional," because you didn't know how to send emails,
or when to email versus when to call versus when to IM. Like you don't know any of that.
So yeah, Maria here, they don't teach you how to build your credit. I mean, that's a lot of adulting that you don't learn in college. I remember when I started working at Lockheed and they give you the benefits package, and I'm just like 401k, health benefits, like life insurance, like all these things, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do.
Yes.
It's like, like you don't want to screw up your future, right? And you're trying to figure out like what to do for your 401k. Do I like put the max? Do I put more? Or like, it's just a lot of different things there. Like, what's your thought on that, Arnold?
That is exactly what happened to me. I don't know. Like, I think this has to do a lot with me being first generation, low income. These are all like things that I never heard about. Like 401ks. Like my parents barely had enough money to survive. So how they weren't thinking about 401ks. And I remember going in my first week and like picking insurance, health insurance. There was like 3 or 4 options, and I was like, I have no idea which one to pick. Like I don't know why I would pick one versus the other. And that's what I spent my first week like asking people. Like I felt so ashamed to ask people, but then when I asked them, I realized that they were in the same spot. They were like, you know what, Arnold? Because they assigned me like a early career mentor, someone that had been at the company for just 1 or 2 years. And that person told me the same exact thing. Arnold, I was in your shoes. I had no idea. This is what they told me. So take a look at that. So they just kind of helped me, but I had no idea what to do with all that either. But then YouTube, reading books, and just learning on Google, that's kind of how you figure out how to pick your 401k, which is kind of sad. I learned how to pick my 401k off of YouTube.
Yeah, I'll tell you a funny story. I don't think this was when I started working full time, but I think this was like when I was working internships, and so the first time I had to do my taxes, where you pay taxes throughout the year. At the rate I was getting paid, I lose maybe 15% off the bat. So I thought when I fill out my taxes, I get all that money back. So when I submitted it, and I was like, oh wait, I don't get a refund. I was so discouraged, and I was like, man, I pay all these taxes, and the schools are terrible, the roads are terrible. Like, where's all this money going? So that was one of the biggest shock for me when I entered the real world. I was like, wait, I don't get my tax money back. And that's just my salary, right? And then there's other ways, people will talk about, with investing, with IRAs and things like that. That's
Yep.
way down the road. But I was just like, wait, I don't get my money back.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I know for those people that don't understand any of that, I listen to a lot of Graham Stephan on YouTube, Dave Ramsey. I love his stuff. So that's how I found out listening to Tony Robbins, Dave Ramsey, and Graham Stephan. That's pretty much how I learned everything.
Yeah, you just gotta find the right resources and talk to people here. Got a comment here. Sorry, let me see if I can find whose name. Oh, this is from Lisi Q. I think you know her as well, Arnold. What resources would you have wanted to know about earlier in your career?
That is a loaded question because it's pretty much like everything that we're talking about. I wish I would have known how to actually be productive, like how to be productive at work. The first one that I mentioned was like we didn't let hands-on experience, so we didn't learn how to actually use our knowledge to put it in practice. That goes a lot with, you know what, the thing that we do at work all the time is Microsoft Office, Excel, Outlook, Word, all these really basic things that you use all the time. And we're not, like engineers specifically, we're not good at it because we didn't take any Office class. We didn't take any Excel class. You're supposed to just learn it as you go. But in reality, like I would have taken, instead of taking like a high level math class, I would have taken an Excel class, and that would have helped me so much more in the workforce. And my wife's a business student, so she did take a Microsoft Excel class. And I was like, man, I wish I would have done that. That's what I
Yeah,
would think would be number one.
I think another thing that would have been a great resource to have when I was in school was just how to write a resume and how to interview. Because you have the career center and you have the career center and you have different resources. But I think this is my opinion. I think a lot of their resources are out of date.
Yes.
When I was in college, they're telling people to put in objective statements. I still, I'm looking over resumes now. They still have objective statements, and then, I'm saying, hey, this is so out of date. You got to put what you want. Your summary on top of your resume. And with interviews, I don't think I've went to any interview session or interview prep session at all. And I'm helping students with mock interviews, and they're just so nervous. They don't know what to talk about. They don't even know how to describe themselves. The first question I ask them, like, hey, describe yourself. Who are you? What are you passionate about? And then they just don't know how to answer that. So I think, that's my answer there. More kind of career development resources in terms of resumes and interview prep, just get you ready to help you find your first job out of college.
Yeah, and that's on my list too of like my top 4 things. And I see that Lizzie answered. I would consider myself an Excel wizard. Every lab and class requires it nowadays. I thought so too, but then Excel, there's like all these macros and visual basics and like all these things that really make your job easier that I didn't learn. But that's the thing, like Carl kind of talked about it. It's surprising that these companies didn't have help for you guys. They do. So that's kind of like, but it's things that I wish I would have learned before I went into the workforce. I wish I would have learned how to pick a 401k before I already was like, hey, pick your 401k your first week. So it was like, it's not, so I guess that's what I'm trying to say is like, I wish these things I would have learned them before. They do offer help with that. And that's kind of how I learn now.
Yeah, definitely. There's just a lot of stuff in the adult world that you're just so glad that you graduated. I think for both of us, first in our family to graduate from college, it's a big deal. And then we start working, and we're just like, deer in the headlights. Just so much stuff that you have to like understand that you didn't think you didn't have to go through before. If you have any questions or any comments here, leave them in the comments, and then we'll address it here.
Yeah, Carl said the career center sucks. That's funny, but it is true. Like it's the career centers are outdated, and that's kind of like where a lot of us, to be honest, a lot of us were trying to fill that gap. I think Carl also is in that. Maria, June, you, me, we're all trying to fill that gap for early career professionals and students. Like, okay, the services, pretty much how to land your dream job. You don't know how to land your dream job in college, which is what you're trying to do, right? But they don't teach you how to land your dream job.
Yeah, and it's I think a lot of students in school, they're just trying to focus to get good grades and graduate, right? Yeah. But they don't, and I was part of that too. We didn't learn how to network, right? Because now that's the key. Because you can't just apply online. There's just hundreds, thousands of people applying for a single job, and you just can't stand out. So you got to build that network, and you don't build that network when you're about to graduate. You build that network throughout college, and there's a right way to network, there's a wrong way to network as well, right? You don't just go up to people and say, hey, give me a job. It's all about building relationships. It's all about that consistency. Great way to do that on LinkedIn, just commenting on people's posts, engaging on people's posts. And that's another thing that I didn't learn when I was in school.
So Stephen, you mentioned you weren't involved with student organizations or anything in college, but you did have internships, right?
Yes, yeah, I did.
Okay, so that's kind of like the main reason why you could get like a great job and why you landed your dream job is because of the internship. So that's something like that also goes into that bubble of how to land a dream job that they don't teach you in school. They don't teach you that the importance of internships. When you're like about to graduate, then they're like, oh, you need an internship, but it's not like it's pushed upon you since the beginning. You have to go find out. You have to hear from your classmates. Hey, you have an internship, and you're like, what's an internship?
Yeah, and then with internships now, it's so competitive. You got to apply the year before. You got to apply in November, December. You can't apply during spring break in April or May. Like everything is closed at that point. I had an internship. Let me think. This was before my junior year in college, and it was unpaid. And I was debating. I was like, should I take this internship? I'm going to be working 12 weeks or 10 weeks. It's unpaid, but hey, I need that internship on my resume. Worked at a very small company. There was about 10 or 15 of us. 4 of us were interns. We were all unpaid, but it was a great learning experience. It was just great experience to put on my resume, and I learned a lot. And especially at such a small company, I got to do everything. I got to do PCB, printed circuit board design. I got to buy the parts. I got to solder everything together, test it, reiterate, do that 2 or 3 times, and then finally come up with the product at the very end. So yeah, I definitely key is you got to find that balance between, oh yeah, I got to study and I got to have this test or midterm coming up, but you also got to be on the job hunt. You got to be networking throughout. So it's a lot about time management that you just have to learn and figure out what are your priorities in.
Yeah, and you mentioned paid. Like it gets on my nerves, to be honest, that companies will not pay engineering students. Like that's ridiculous. Like you're just trying to get free labor, which is terrible. Companies do that. But as a student, like if it's your only option, it's your only option. I would rather do that than take more classes over the summer. That's just not good. I know in my case, I was lucky that I had my first internship when I was a sophomore. So that one was paid. And I don't even tell you how much I got paid. I got paid like $12 an hour, which for me was a great amount of money. Like I used to work for $10 an hour. So 12 was like crazy. Then I got another one for my junior year. And that one was like $20 an hour. So I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. And then between my year where I did my bachelor's and my master's, had another one where it was like $25 an hour. I couldn't believe I was getting paid so much to be learning. So that was cool. And right now, with a lot of business students, with my wife specifically, she's getting paid. There's like internships for her like $21, and I'm like, and like in my idea, I was like, oh, I'm engineering, I should be paid more, and she's like making the same amount as I was, and she's business. I was like, darn it. But yeah, so there's definitely paid internships out there. You just have to be able to find them, and like a lot of these big companies, they'll be able to pay for anything.
Yeah, I would think down. I'm in California. I think internships have to be paid. Like if it's unpaid, there's some labor law or there's something behind it there. Yeah, that unpaid internship, I'll just say the CEO was super cheap. He underpaid everyone, even the full-time people. But it was definitely learned a lot during that experience here. Want to highlight some comments here. I think there were some questions here. Trying to think here. There's one here about, are office politics in the workplace as bad as they're made out to be?
I would say like so I'm not when I speak about things, I'm not just talking about like my employer right now. I'm speaking about my experience in all the companies I've worked for. I think it depends on. I only have experience in aerospace companies, so I don't know about other companies. But aerospace companies, it's aerospace, so it's a lot of safety hazards. So there's a lot of things that has to do with safety. So there's a lot of office politics in the aspect that there's a lot of bureaucracy. There's a lot of, oh, I have this great idea, let's go make it. No, you have to see if it's safe. You have to go through a lot of red tape. And that's where I would say the office politics plays a lot into it, because everyone has these great ideas, but then it's a big safety related thing where you can't just go do it. So then there's people that don't want to work with you because they don't want to spend the time because they know like, oh, we got other stuff that are more important, safety related. So then you have to play that politics game where you're like, okay, this is going to help you, or this is going to make your job easier, and that's how you kind of get through with doing things.
Yeah, my take on it is I think I'll share the solution rather than what the problem is. There's you got so many people involved in a single product or in a single program or whatever, and everyone has their own point of view, right? Everyone has their own opinion, and I think what you can do, especially if you're new to a team or even if you've been there for, you have to build allies, you have to build relationships with people, right? And I'm not saying you go suck up to them or whatever, but you have to make sure you're on everyone's good side, right? You make sure you treat everyone how they want to be treated. You deliver on your commitments. You're not known as the person who's always late, who's always lazy or whatever. You got to show up and perform at work. And then when you have to go make that decision, when you have to like introduce something, right? You have to go get it through all this red tape. You have to get it through a board or get it approved. If everyone on that board knows you, they're more likely to approve it rather than, hey, if you're just brand new. They have no idea who you are, especially if they see that you're new. They're going to start grilling you. So I think it's all about building relationships, and you have to do that throughout your time there.
Yeah, that's so important, building good relationships. And like your reputation, like once you start doing things, your reputation is so important. That's something I didn't learn about in college. Was reputation is key. Like I had this mindset where I was like, okay, I volunteered for an engagement group. So this is volunteer work. It has nothing to do with our day-to-day work. And I was slacking on the projects. I was slacking the deadlines because I was like, oh, that's not important. It's a calendar for engagement to know when Valentine's Day is going to be. Like everybody knows. But in reality, I was building a bad reputation for myself as someone that's always late, someone that's not doing what they're supposed to be, that commit and don't do it. And that was my first year. So I kind of learned that mistake really quick, and I'm happy I learned it fast, where it was like, okay, my reputation is important with everything I do, not just the great work, but also like even if I volunteer for anything, I need to keep my word and actually do it. So I would throw that out there.
Yeah, excellent point here. Daniela says, time management is something I wish I learned way before, like in high school.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Over in 2017 to 2019, I had a full-time job. I was doing my master's at night, and I was making videos every single week. And I realized how much time I was wasting on things that weren't important, right? If I don't waste time, on YouTube all day. I'm not on social media, Facebook all day. I don't have to watch every single basketball game or every single NFL game, right? So I realized things that I can cut out. And I look back to when I was in high school, I was like, oh man, I spent a lot of time just doing nothing productive. And, those are opportunities that you can go on YouTube. You can go buy a course. You can learn something. So I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, and time management. I think a lot of time management has to do with prioritizing, like knowing what your priorities are and what isn't a priority that you can just not do. I think it has to do a lot with prioritizing and focusing your time. So like a lot of people, they like to do a lot of things at the same time, and you're just not efficient doing that. Like I like to this is how this works for me. So my priorities, and I just hit one after the other and focus on what I'm doing at that time. I kind of like switch the ship and I do something else and just forget about the other things. That's kind of how I've been able to focus on things and get stuff done, and then focus on having fun. Like when I'm watching a movie, I love watching Netflix and just taking a relax and watching TV. I don't get to do it enough, which kind of sucks. But that's kind of my take a break. I love watching Marvel, love Star Wars, love watching Hamilton over and over again. So I like to watch these things. So I just leave my phone, leave everything, focus on having fun for a little bit, and then go back to working. Go back to working on my podcast. Go back to working, doing things like this, LinkedIn Live. I'm not doing anything else right now. So no multitasking, I guess, is my pitch on that.
Yeah, and I would say with time management, the more things you have, the better you are at, like you said, prioritizing them, as well as being more efficient with it. Earlier during the Two Truths and a Lie, I had a 4.0 my senior year in college, and I was working 20 hours a week, my internship. And what I did was, if I'm at my internship, I only focus on my internship. Like I'm not studying, I'm not doing anything. And the same thing if I'm at school, I focus on that stuff. But I found ways to be efficient because I parked off campus and I took a shuttle to school. So every time it's a 15-minute ride to school, that's 15 minutes for me to study my notes before class, right? Or if I need to do any reading before, I can do that during that 15-minute shuttle ride. And on the way back after class, I can go reread my notes from that day. So what happens is by the time I need to go study for a midterm or a test, I'm already looking at my notes for the third time. And at this time, I recognize my handwriting because I looked at it twice before. If I looked at it 2 or 3 months later, especially with my engineering handwriting, like there's no way I could understand what I wrote. So
Yeah,
just one little hack I did to be more efficient with my studying, and that helped me get my 4.0 my senior year.
definitely.
All right, I think this is a really good question here. This is from Lisi as well. Have you ever encountered someone who didn't believe in your ability? What did you do to change their mind?
Yeah. So I guess since I heard Steven have this pause, I guess that's a cue for me to go. So yes, sort of. I tend to be, I so this is kind of weird, but I tend to be in the line between cocky and confident. That sometimes I'm like right in the gray line between that. I come off as sometimes, depending on to who, as a cocky person, but a lot of time it's confident. So I feel that confidence helps me a lot of time. Them think good about me since the beginning, but I do get that oh, you're so young, or that vibe sometimes. But then I just use like my background and the good things that I've done, and I'm like, oh, I'm in a rotation. I've been in a rotation program, a leadership program. Kind of like I kind of throw a little bit of that out there like at the beginning, so they know like I'm worthy of helping out. And then the part of changing their mind, I just do great. I just try to do as best as I can, to be honest, and I try to help them, ask them questions. I think a lot of people change their mind when you ask good questions. Like if you keep on asking questions, I feel people change their mind and they're like, is that person actually is a great person? Even if you're not talking, you're just asking questions. I think that helps a lot. So I think you have to change your mind somehow by doing good work and asking good questions.
Yeah, excellent point there, Arnold. I was literally going to say the same exact thing. Have confidence in what you're saying and what you're doing and what you're asking, and you definitely have to perform. And I think, like what you said, with asking questions, that doesn't show you're dumb or anything. If you're asked good questions that you can't just Google, you can't just look up, those are good questions. And I think that shows, whoever that has that doubt, you say, oh, this person wants to learn, right? This person didn't just coast to get here. This person wants to learn, understand what we're working on, and want to make a difference.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're almost at the end of our half hour here. So Arnold, I'm going to give you the floor. If you want to share anything you're working on, any plug, anything you want to promote, I'm giving you the floor here. I'm going to put your LinkedIn profile right here for everyone. So
Yeah,
make sure you can connect with Arnold as well.
So I'll kind of give a summary of what we talked about, and kind of like I've been doing a lot of presentations on this exact topic, like what college doesn't teach you, and I always put in these 4 bubbles. How to land a dream job, they don't teach you that. Number 2, they don't teach you hands-on experience, how to do actual work. Number 3, they don't teach you how to work well with others. And then the 4th one is they don't teach you how to be an adult. So we talked about all of these things, and they all fit in those 4 buckets. So and that was great. For the actual plug, I would say if you've never heard about me or anything, make sure you look up Non-Traditional College Success. Follow me on LinkedIn. I post pretty much every single day, everything from advice to experiences that I've had, and just I'm a very authentic person. I post really things out there that I probably shouldn't be posting, but that are just my reality. So yeah, and then on the Non-Traditional College Success, on that side, we do podcasts every Wednesdays. We do resource spotlights. We do success stories, motivational quotes. We do monthly Zoom panels. Steven was on one of them actually for the SHEP conference. We just had one last week for Black engineers, and we're gonna have one next month on women engineers. So make sure you follow all that, and feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, and let's just talk. Let's build a connection.
Yeah, I can definitely vouch for everything that Arnold just said. Arnold has, you've shared great resources. You have, I like how you share your content in so many different ways, right? You got your posts, you got your webinars, you got your podcast. I think you have I don't know how many episodes you have. You have dozens of podcast episodes.
Yeah, 39 episodes so far.
Yeah, and I was on one of those. We were talking about rotation programs at where we work. So definitely connect with Arnold. There's a lot you can learn from Arnold, and he's very genuine. He's very real in what he talks about. So make sure to connect with him. Next week I have Lona Gordon Small on my LinkedIn Live, same time as this one. We'll be talking about how to unlock your core to achieve your full potential. So kind of talk about our secrets there, how to figure out what are you really about, and how you can grow in your career as well. So, again, thank you, Arnold, for your time here. Appreciate all the comments here. We'll be better next time with the 2 truths and a lie icebreaker there. Any last words, Arnold?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks a lot, Stephen, for having me. It's always a pleasure working with you and doing anything with you. So thanks for inviting me, Stephen.
Yeah, definitely happy to do that. Like I said, I was on your podcast, I was on your live in the past, and I'm glad to have you as a guest here, and help each other's network through all these different methods here.
Yeah, and thanks everyone for coming on. It was nice talking to all of you.
All right, have a good night, everyone, and thank you again so much, Arnold.
Bye.